authors of the American slave codes of the 1700s, fearing that slave literacy would become what was then called an inconvenience to the slave system, forbade the education of slaves for any purpose. In the 1800s, those same restrictions were extended and incorporated into what were referred to as the Black Laws, prohibiting even free people of African descent from learning to read or write. But the possibility of punishment was undaunting to young James Ralston Amos. James was a literate free man of African descent, determined to enter the ministry, but to do so, he needed theological training. In pursuit of his dream, in the early 1850s, James, a resident of Hinsonville, just north of Oxford, Pennsylvania, applied to the theological school at Princeton in New Jersey, but he was denied admission because of his race. His resolve to preach the gospel led him to Oxford resident Presbyterian minister John Miller Dickey, a man with a long history of service and philanthropy. Dickey's goal was to create missionaries to spread the word on the African continent. Dickey realized that educating men of African descent in America was a logical way to achieve that goal. The need to create an institution of higher learning for the education of colored male youth became an irrefutable necessity. And over the next few years, James Ralston Amos and John Miller Dickey, along with like-minded clergy, worked diligently towards that goal. Hinsonville, a township of freedmen and women landowners, was selected as the location for the school. In support of the mission, much of the land was donated or sold to Dickey by Hinsonville residents. And in 1854, Ashman Institute opened its doors as the first institution of higher learning for men of African descent in the United States. And finally, in 1856, James Ralston Amos, along with his brother Thomas and Armistead Miller, became the first graduates of Ashman Institute. The school thrived, and Dickey's leadership quickly propelled the institute into a full-fledged university with a classical liberal arts education. Then, in 1866, Ashman Institute officially changed its name to Lincoln University to honor the fallen 16th President of the United States. From those early days into the 1900s, with vision and leadership, Lincoln University continued to flourish. Through the years, to continue the legacy, each board of trustees has been given the task of carefully selecting leaders who would follow the mission, boldly address each challenge, and propel the next generation of Lincoln graduates. In 1945, Horace Mann Bond was selected as Lincoln's 8th president and the first African American chosen to lead the university. Bond, also a Lincoln graduate, skillfully guided the university through the post-war challenges of segregation and inequality in America. And it was during his tenure and under his leadership that the university bylaws were changed to reflect the growing desire of women for greater opportunities to advance their education. And in 1953, Ruth Fales became the first female graduate of Lincoln University. During the 60s, it was University President Marvin Wachman who propelled Lincoln forward. Wachman, a leader committed to the extension of educational opportunities for both men and women of color, brought in new faculty, raised money, and increased enrollment while bolstering the university's academic credentials. In the 1970s and early 80s, it was Herman R. Branson who led the university through turbulent social and economic times. One of the highlights of his tenure was the transition of Lincoln from private to state-related status, greatly expanding the school's access to financial resources from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Setting yet another milestone, in 1987, Dr. Nyara Sudarkasa became the first woman to serve as Lincoln University president. As we entered a new millennium, Dr. Ivory V. Nelson was appointed to serve as the 12th president of Lincoln University. His leadership brought financial stability, and his strategic plan included a major renovation of the campus and construction of a new ultra-modern high-tech science building, which opened in the fall of 2009 and was named in his honor. Through the years, the qualities inspired by Lincoln University leadership have had impact worldwide. From the arts and music to science and industry, Lincoln graduates have healed the sick, fought for justice, commanded the military, led nations, inspired with music and poetry, and served on the U.S. Supreme Court. Through war, economic downturn, and racial strife, Lincoln University presidents have demonstrated the importance of vision, determination, and leadership. And now, as we enter the next chapter, it is Dr. Brenda A. Allen who will continue the mission of more than 160 years to lead the university forward with strength, dignity, and courage.
The Lincoln experience can lead you anywhere that you desire. Use our village to propel you to where you want to go in life. Your success is only limited by your own imagination. Thank you.
As the 14th president and first alumna to lead the university, Dr. Allen is herself the embodiment of the potential of Lincoln University graduates. With vision, resolve, and a progressive strategic plan, Dr. Allen will both expand and reimagine the Lincoln legacy. Her goal? To clearly define and articulate the value of a Lincoln education, to improve both oral and written communication and advance student literacy in both scientific and information technologies, to reallocate resources to better prepare students to excel in a changing job market that demands both critical thinking and integrity, and to help working adults acquire the tools they need to advance in their careers or take on new professional challenges. The legacy of vision and leadership at Lincoln is advanced both by those who lead and those who are in turn inspired by that leadership, empowering each graduate to shine in their own right and become the leaders they were meant to be. Lincoln University, a legacy of vision, a legacy of determination, a legacy of leadership.